Hello again to Easy and Fast English. I am James, and today I would like to explain how do we speak in IELTS, in TOEFL, and in interviews. So it's kind of a package deal. I like to combine those three things because when you speak, a strategy of speaking is quite similar. Yeah, if you go to an IELTS exam, the speaking will be to a real person. Maximum 15 minutes, 3 parts. Yeah, and the first part of this interview, but maybe also the second part, you can apply a technique which I will explain to you today. TOEFL speaking, I personally believe, is quite difficult because you speak to a computer. You have headphones, microphone, and there's no feedback. Plus, there's a timer on it. So you really have to time yourself. And I think if you have a strategy, I'm sure, I can guarantee you, if you have a strategy of speaking, you feel good. And this really comes into play in interviews, in job interviews. Yeah, imagine someone is in front of you, they ask you a tough question or any question, and you're not really sure, but you have a strategy on your head and you will just talk. Yeah, you will just talk because you know, first I should speak like this, and then that. Yeah, there's always a nice strategy. I have chosen 3 topics, one for each part, one for each section. IELTS, a typical question is, do you study or do you work, in part 1. Yeah, TOEFL, a typical topic in part 1, speaking, part 1 out of 6, is what was your favorite subject? And in interviews, you know, maybe not the easiest question, a very common question is, please tell me about a problem you had with a coworker and how did you solve it? Okay, so let's go with the first one. IELTS, you're in IELTS, yeah, in front of you sits an examiner, you're all nervous or shaking, and the person will ask you, so, a very easy question, do you work or do you study? And a lot of people might say, work. Next question? No, doesn't work like that. You don't just want to say work or study. You want to say a nice, long, complete sentence with an introduction, with arguments, or you can also call it reasons, or you just at least want to have 2 parts of a question. Each argument or reason should be followed by an additional supporting detail. Detail is kind of like your argument, but you give additional information. It could also be an example. It must not be an example. It could just be the definition of your argument. Yeah, so introduction, an argument, supporting detail. You do that 2 times, and we end up with a nice conclusion. Conclusion is always very important because then the other person knows that you're done speaking. That's it. Okay? So let's start with this topic. IELTS, study or work. So the examiner will say, do you work or do you study? And you will start a nice introduction. Intro. In the intro, you just touch one topic. Well, I studied for many, many years at XYZ University, and I'm so happy that I'm done with this now. So I finally found a job, and yes, I'm part of the workforce. That was an introduction, a long introduction. You can make a much shorter introduction. You could just say, yeah, I studied for many parts of my life, but now I work. It's an introduction. Anything just to get you started. Yeah? Then you will go to argument 1. We go this way first, and then argument 2. In this particular one, let's say you found a job in sales as a department manager. Lucky day, right? Come out of university, immediately department manager. Why not? It can happen. So, I would just then say, here, you just introduce the topic. Yeah, the topic, intro, just a few words, just blah, 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 talk about this. Nothing in specific. Then I said, okay, I work in sales. This is going to be what we speak about in argument reason 1. And in the second part, we will speak about that you are a department manager. And after that, in supporting details, all you have to do, talk about this or give an example. And you go to the second argument where you speak about you being a department manager in sales, and then maybe just explain what exactly you do. And then you come back to your conclusion. Conclusion is very, very, very simple. Basically, you just repeat this, argument 1. You repeat argument 2 in different words. That's all. Argument 1, argument 2. So that's why argument 1, argument 2. Or that's why this is the reason. Let me give you an example. Just like that, I'll just make it up from the top of my mind. So, do you study or do you work? Well, I used to study for a long time. Now I'm finally part of the workforce. I was very lucky because I always wanted to work in sales. Sales means I get to meet customers every day. Sales means what I really enjoy. I enjoy people and I enjoy selling them. And you know what? The more I sell, the more money I make. And I was even luckier because right from the beginning, I became a department manager. Department manager is a very important, responsible job. Yeah, that means I am responsible for other people. Other people who are now below me. I don't feel like I'm really like their boss, but you know, I like it when I can lead and guide my team. So really what I like in my current job, working as a department manager in sales, this is one of the most pleasurable things you can imagine. Okay, let's move on. The next part will just be a repetition, different topic. That's all. So, no more sales. No more department manager. Sorry, I cannot find my eraser. There it is. Alrighty. Never mind. Never mind. That's a nice expression. Don't worry about it. Never mind. I don't mind. I hope you don't mind. Okay. TOEFL. Typical TOEFL question. What's your favorite subject? We do the same strategy. Yeah. It helps actually if you can think before you speak of your 2 arguments. Yeah. So usually in the IELTS and in the TOEFL you get a few seconds before you speak to prepare. Now you don't need to prepare for the introduction, not for this, not for this. But if you have those 2 things on your mind, I found it always helps. So I see they ask me about my favorite subject. I need 2 arguments. Okay, so quickly I scribble them onto the board. That will help me. Teacher was good. Another good reason, it's very useful. Good. Ready? Okay. So 3, 2, 1, go. Well, what is your favorite subject? Well, what was your favorite subject in school? There were many different subjects I had in school, and there were a lot of subjects I really enjoyed. But my favorite subject in school was, you guessed it, English. Why? Well, first of all, I really liked the teacher. Yeah? The teacher was always very nice, very supportive. She never scolded us. She never screamed. She was always there for every question we had. She was there to answer it, and she did it in a very nice, understanding and supportive way. The second reason why I like English, the topic of English so much, was because I knew it was very useful, because the whole world speaks English. And wherever you go, you can communicate with people, you can speak with people. You can learn Chinese, you can learn Spanish, French, German, Russian, whatsoever. But there's one language that combines that brings us all together, which is English. For those 2 reasons, the teacher And the reason that I found it so useful, that's why I really enjoyed the topic of English. Connectors. Of course you use first of all, to begin with, to start. First, firstly. Here you can use furthermore, additionally, also, secondly. Yeah, those short connectors. These are the ones you might need. Last one. You're in a job interview. Now that for some people is really nerve-wracking. Yeah, for some people job interviews is like going through hell. Oh my God, there's somebody talking to me and I have to answer and I have to look cool and I have to look like I know what I'm doing. And oh my God, there's two people interviewing me at the same time. So much pressure. Now, if you can think about a strategy, a certain structure in your head, who cares who sits there? It might be the president of the company interviewing you directly. You just stay cool, you think about what you have learned in this class here today, you follow your routine. Yeah? So, Mr. Smith, please tell me about a situation in your workplace where you had a problem with a coworker. Well, what would be a typical problem at work with a coworker? Yeah, not fighting for the copy or coffee machine. No. Think of something professional. Report. Yeah. So I'm making my small 2 little notes again, just before I speak. So what do we all have to do if we sit in an office? Every day we have to write reports. Let's take the topic of writing a report. And let's just say you have the task to do it together with a coworker. You have some of the information and your coworker has some of the information. Yeah, so you have to bring this together and write a report. Let's take this one. Yeah. So, again. So, Mr. Smith, please tell me about a problem you had with a coworker. Well, introduction. Usually I don't have any problem with my coworkers. I really get along. I'm a team player. I like to work with them. But there was one time where I had a big issue, a big problem with a coworker. The first problem, or to begin with, we could not agree on the deadline. My coworker said, next Friday is okay. And me, I know I would go on holiday on Wednesday, so no way. For me, deadline was on Tuesday. And, we could not agree on this. So what we had to do, we had to speak. But there was a second problem. The second problem that we had was the content, the numbers we had to put into the report. Yeah, because some of the numbers, finance numbers that she had and the numbers that I had were completely different. So what we had to do, we had to look those numbers over again. Yeah, so we had to find a kind of solution. The solution was that we agreed that she could not do it on Friday, so that I would send it on Thursday while I'm sitting on the beach on Hawaii. Of course, we still had the problem with the numbers, but this was easily solved. We just took the numbers in the middle, and we would hope that our boss would not find out. And you know what? He never did. Okay, I'm exaggerating. This is, of course, not a realistic case. Important is that you, in general, follow the structure. Here keeps it nice, smooth, flowing from the beginning to the end. It must not be 2 arguments or 2 reasons. It could be 3. It could be 4. If you really can't think of more, just do 1. Don't get stuck. Don't What this really helps you with, this is the whole point, that you don't stand and think and you don't know what should I say. This does not get you the job. What gets you the job, if you keep on speaking fluently, confidently, this gives you confidence. Confidence is what a person wants to see. Try it, use it, apply it. So, thank you very much. Thank you for joining this lesson, and really hope that you will feel comfortable and that you will get the job. Thank you. Bye-bye.